So here we are, we find ourselves on day number 2 of Holy Week. And this would have been Monday of that week, and Jesus, the day before, has just had the triumphal entry. He has entered the city, he's gone down Main Street, and he is headed here to this place, Fairmount Wesleyan Church, or in Jerusalem, what would have been known as the Temple. And for Jewish life, the importance of this place can't be more overstated. This was the most important, most central place for all of Jewish life. Unlike Fairmount Wesleyan Church, this temple was a complex. We have a building, they had a complex, and that had different courts and rooms and all sorts of different areas in their temple space. And each new area or room required something specific to be considered pure, clean, and allowed into that specific space. So put yourself there. Imagine that you're there. You come here to worship, and you're only allowed to go into the parking lot. Or imagine you come to worship and you're allowed to go into the welcome center of the church building, but not the sanctuary. Or maybe you can go into the sanctuary, but only in the balcony. You can't be on the main level. You see, this was how the temple was set up. This was the place where the presence of God dwelled. That was in the innermost room, and all the areas around that required specific levels of cleanliness or a certain profession to be allowed into new places. And Jews would come from all over to meet here, to be at the temple. And so here in this moment, this is where we find our story with Jesus. Like the other Jewish people, he knew the importance and the significance of the temple, and so he goes there. And when he gets there, he sees people selling items. They're taking advantage of those who are coming to worship. And Jesus tells them then in that moment that this is to be a house of prayer and not a den of robbers. And then he clears these people out. And that's where we focus a lot of our attention. But right after that, then we see that Jesus goes over to those who are blind and disabled. Those who had been overlooked by the community, those who had been cheated and lied to and stolen from because they were easy targets. Jesus reaches out to them, he sees them, and he heals them. And this upsetting of the apple cart, it doesn't sit well with the established leaders, those who were in charge of temple life. They become angry with Jesus, and that anger is going to lead to his betrayal, his arrest, and his crucifixion. And as we sit with that story, as we think about that story, the question I have for us today is, who are we in this story? Where do we find ourselves? Are we like the religious leaders who are trying our best to follow after God and his ways, but find that we might have lost the relationship for the religious rules? Do we find ourselves as the sellers or the money changers in this story, in need of Jesus to come into our lives and flip the tables on sin patterns, habits, and ways of living that we might be in? Or are we in need of Jesus to see us, to be near to us, to know us, and invite us even closer to him? You see, Jesus cleansing the temple can be a moment of reorientation for us, where our eyes are fixed again on Christ, on his ways, and on what he wants to do here in his world.